Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now, before I do introduce our guests today, we have a new, hooray, platform to do GoFundMe's on, but it's no longer GoFundMe, so it's now Give, Send, Go. So I have started a new campaign at the behest of a few people that were particularly irritated with the campaign starting out on GoFundMe. So off the back of GoFundMe, I have bought one amplifier of 3 that I'm hoping to replace. Now, ideally, so that I can do the minimum to keep the show running, I want 2, and hence I've asked for the remaining amount that 2 will get me, which is about £900. So ideally, I'll get one of them out of just plugging it a little bit, and then I won't have to go on it about length because I'm stressed about it, having tore out the old and unreliable stuff that keeps breaking, and I've got a single replacement already, which is the bare minimum. The redundancy I would hope to have, should things break, is being employed already with the first amplifier, which is great because the show works, but I'm a little bit stressed about it, so hopefully I can get at least one more, which would be about, I don't know, £800 if I can get one on eBay, relatively cheap. So I'm hoping to achieve that amount within a few days. Hopefully it'll be a bit more successful than the last one, because the last one on GoFundMe was particularly unsuccessful for the reasons I've already given in terms of people not liking GoFundMe, and also because a more pertinent campaign came up in the form of Chocolate Sayings campaign. So that one kind of got left on the wayside and won't be revisited. Indeed, GoFundMe won't be revisited from this point forward, and should there be any campaigns, indeed like there was for Chocolate Saying, I think Give, Send, Go will be the preferred platform. So if indeed you did want to support me on Give, Send, Go, there will be hopefully a link that will go by. I'm sure I can do that myself now, actually. givesendgo.com/FED is the full title, and I'll stick that in the live stream chat now, so check that out. Also, I wanted to do a shout out to Goldie, who particularly said that if you leave GoFundMe from campaign use and use Give, Send, Go, I'll be your first contributor. Now, just before the weekend, I did set this up, albeit with a bit of a pain to get in through password foibles. But my first contributor was actually... why doesn't it show it? Oh, there we go. Goldie. So there we go, 2 days ago. So thank you very much indeed for being the first contributor on Give, Send, Go. Goldie, really appreciate it. And in the pre-show, I did a little bit of a plug and shout out for somewhere where Goldie is a moderator, which is on the Growing Up in Scientology channel. So the Growing Up in Scientology YouTube channel has the best moderator because Goldie's there, and she emulates Divergent Droid, who is the best moderator also. So check it out. But as I said in the pre-show, Growing Up in Scientology has just got a really fantastic host. So Aaron, but he introduces himself with a little clip where he introduces himself as Aaron. It's just a really lovable character who's high on life, having escaped a cult. So I can directly relate to that, finding the wonderment in the world that I find myself in, having severed myself from the nonsense and lies of the cult of heliocentrism. Now, although I haven't found any useful parallels beyond stuff that would knock people leaving a cult, which I don't necessarily want to do, what I have found is this wonderful channel that I'm more than happy to plug, because I think other people who just go there and listen to the guy talking in general will pick up on that vibe that, having, as the name suggests in the YouTube channel, escaped a cult, has got a very positive outlook on life, one that I also like to feel that I have. So just check it out for nothing more than the entertainment value of an ex-Scientologist talking about his experience, covering some current events in Scientology, and just generally passing a lot of joy onto the world with his YouTube channel. And Goldie in the moderator, as a moderator in the chat, because the chat's also joyful too. I have a lot of fun chatting away with people in his live stream, it's a lot less toxic than it used to be here. So there we go. That's growing up in Scientology, and that's my Give, Send, Go campaign, which hopefully links will be going pie now. Divergent Droid, of course, right on cue there with the link to Growing Up in Scientology YouTube channel. So check him out. And indeed, like always, tell him in the most positive of context. Nathan Oakley 1980 channel sent me. If you leave him a comment, help him in the most sincerity with the algorithm. Leave him a comment, leave him a like, subscribe today. I'm not just saying it for the hope that he'll, make a video. In fact, I don't want him to. I think he wouldn't necessarily benefit from poisoning his, audience that have left this cult of Scientology by throwing them further down the rabbit hole of heliocentrism itself being a complete fraud. But they might find their way here naturally, so let's just hope so. But it would be nice to help him in the algorithm, and obviously just let him know. Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me if you are going right now, which I hope you would, and subscribing to that channel. And indeed, giving me money on my Give, Send, Go campaign, as Goldie has done, the moderator from that channel. So that's enough of the plug for Give, Send, Go. The only other one thing I would say is if you did contribute, like with all of these campaign platforms, they do give the opportunity to actually contribute to them also. So I typically would set that to other and then set it to 0. That's obviously entirely up to you if you do want to Give, Send, Go. But there we go. So that's that, and I won't plug it anymore on the show. Hopefully I'll get to my 400-ish pounds target so I can offer somebody a low ball price on eBay and get the second amp to replace the second of 3. Anyway, that's enough plugging. Hello to everybody on the YouTube, Discord and G+. How's it all going? Good to have you.
Very well.
I'll do a proper introduction. So we are joined by the Adam Meakin, 10th Man, Neil, Paul, Arwin, and Refracted Curvature. Obviously a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome, one and all.
Hello.
Yeah, let's get it on.
Just playing.
Hey.
Buenos
Monday.
dias. Good morning.
Buenos dias. Okay, so we're going to do a couple of housekeeping questions. Any evidence that you can acquire gas pressure without a necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
Negative.
No, sir.
Gas in its expanded state doesn't have any weight.
Indeed, it's expanding to fill whatever volume it's got to fill, so how can you claim it's got a downward bias? It hasn't. It's expanding in all directions. What about the distance?
Well, that, of course, mechanically, but also, you can compress air, the regular air around us in a tanker, and then you register some extra weight beside the tanker. But if you take that same volume of gas and put it in a gigantic balloon in its expanded state, guess what? The weight you're going to register off the scale when you put that balloon thing on there is not going to be the same. Because it doesn't have weight. Not in the actual way weight is calculated, which is based on relative density disequilibrium in a medium of air.
Is it raining there? Is that the noise I can hear in the background of your mic?
What?
Is it raining?
No,
or
it's not raining inside my room.
Obviously not. Is it hitting the windows and making a noise, or is your mic just crackling?
I think my mic might be crackling a bit.
Okay, yeah, there's something not quite right. It's very, almost probably inaudible to everyone else, but an irritation to me. Anyway, any evidence of the distance to the sun? I'll get to why we've asked those 2 questions in a minute.
Neil deGrasse Tyson says he has it.
And Neil's done it for me. So in the pre-show, we did reasonably extensively cover a Star Talk with Neil deGrasse Tyson, where he's covering various things, including Earth's orbit, Earth's tilt, the orbits of the planets, precession, libration, which we didn't cover in the video, but we got to size of the sun. So that's why we're bringing it up in the housekeeping format at this point, because we're going to segue nicely now to exactly that. Oh no, it's my Give, Send, Go campaign. Feel free to give generously. No, here we go. So this is Neil deGrasse Tyson explains why some info is needed to know. And then he's just basically, I'll just summarize what we did in the pre-show, begged the question left, right and center and just told the audience that if you were a caveman and knew nothing of orbits and heliocentrism, that he would tell you what orbits were and expect you to just know that that's true because he told you. And then later in the discussion, he's pointed out that these ideas in regards to orbital motions and ellipses are just that, ideas. But he's going to stress how important it is to have ideas. And then this guy is going to explain, is it Chuck? Is going to explain how the scientific method is Quaid with the alien on the guy's back telling him to open his mind. Because that's what the scientific method does, gets you to open your mind to ideas, according to this guy. So obviously we corrected that in the pre-show. So check it out if you aren't a member already. Obviously become a member, and you can see this immediately after it's been recorded in a couple of hours' time on this channel, Nathan Oakley 980. If you're not, and obviously you don't want to give me money for whatever reason, if it's Give, Send, Go, just share it or send me a prayer for my amplifiers. But doing that is just as beneficial. So, you know, sharing the show, sharing this, sharing whatever. And in that vein, although it's a slight segue, I'm going to share this now. And as always, not necessarily in the same vein as growing up in Scientology, but go to Neil deGrasse Tyson and let him know. Oh, what have I done? Print. I don't want to print. Go away. Go and let him know that we've sent you by leaving a comment that just says exactly that. In the nicest possible way, Nathan Oakley 1980 channel sent me as they responded to your video, or we love your stuff. So there it is. It's going by Diving Droids. Also dropped a link to it. So if you can just let Neil deGrasse Tyson know, Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. I can't remember what I've segued away from now, so I'm just going to carry on playing the video.
And say it is either this or that,
or they think scientists have rigid thinking, right?
That leads to
They think rigid thinking of scientists, do they, Mr. Suttery? No, we don't concern ourselves with how rigid the thinking of men is. When you're talking about an empirical method that employs cause and effect reasoning in a hypothesis, exercised through experimentation to establish the cause of the effect that you supposed, those ideas would be, I think, I've got an idea about what caused that effect we're studying. Maybe a light flashing in the sky. You can go, I've got an idea what caused that. Yeah, that's half a hypothesis right there. Just add the null. I think this causes it, mirrored with I think this won't cause it. Then you've got a full hypothesis with null. All you need to do then is vary your ideas that are oh so important to you to see if they cause the effect. That's an empirical method of science. These two gibbering fools are talking about the ideas of men.
people saying things like, I don't want to wear a mask because, quite frankly, the science is junk. And the reason they say it is because things have changed. We know more, so we change the way.
What would be more accurate would be to say that if there is a cause and effect being established, and the effect is directly linked causally to the man-made manufactured masks, then that's outside of science. Because in this instance, you're varying something man-made as an independent variable for a natural observed phenomena. Well, that isn't exactly science, is it? So when you say it's science, that what you've been demanded to put a mask on, that is what people's rejection of it, because they don't like ideas, because you think science is ideas. So the idea that people should have a mask on is science. What are you babbling about? Science establishes cause and effect. So the phenomena that you might be studying might have the cause of the lack of masks. So you vary masks and see if they cause the effect, or the lack thereof in this instance. Equally valid. Like with scurvy. They vary vitamin C, the lack thereof causes scurvy. Right? That's science. This isn't. So when people object to it, they might have flawed reasons. And you might be justified in objecting to their flawed reasons when they object to your version of science, when you attribute it to wearing masks. But it isn't science. So while your objections to people's insincere and lack of understanding of science when they object to it, because you say it is, I would object on a much higher and more lofty grounds, which is to say that no, this isn't establishment of cause and effect reasoning through systematic experimentation, therefore not science. That's how I would demean the claims that you are making in this instance.
Well, he's equivocating is what he's doing. He's confusing an area of study with the scientific method and then calling it all science.
Yeah.
Last week, John, you said it needs to be repeatable, testable, observable. And it seems to me they're trying to jerry-rig the scientific method into Neil's ideas.
Yeah. Well, that's a fallacy of composition, because there are ideas in the scientific method. Your idea of what causes a phenomena, that's true. But if you just take science to be the ideas bit, no, that's mistaking hypotheses for explanations. Because when he explains elliptical motions and then later confesses to them being ideas, like, well, your idea of an elliptical motion is something that, well, potentially not because it's derived in maths, but could be potentially put through the scientific method if you establish the cause of the effect that you're studying. And if the studying bit and the phenomena bit is motions of stars, then you need to vary a presumed cause to see if you can cause that effect. That's it. Now you might go, oh, well, I can't vary something to cause star motion, especially not with my heliocentric assumption that the ground's moving. I don't care. Yeah, science is very narrow. You're not going to get some broad tool that offers empirical outcomes. It doesn't work like that. Yeah, it's very specific, isn't it? Oh, what? You can't sandwich in your ideas of motion into this empirical method. That's okay. Just don't call it science. And then no one will have a problem. Just stick to, my idea is, and then we can treat you like the village idiot drunk on 2020 standing on the corner babbling about nonsense when we hear your ideas about what it could be. Meanwhile, science will establish the cause of an effect and save lives. Well, like with the example I gave, vitamin C, or the lack thereof, not causing scurvy because you put it through the method of science and establish what caused that effect. Saving lives. Unlike this garbage that doesn't do anything in practical application beyond reify your religious belief that came from the church to derive orbital motions to give us better predictive capabilities for Easter. Doesn't mean we're standing on a sphere. It doesn't mean anything.
And information based.
I was going to ask, would that be the 6th grade science you're talking about?
Yeah. People are trained in what cause and effect reasoning is, i.e. the scientific method, when they're at a reasonably early age, so that they know that it's empirical. So then when tossers like this come along and start telling them that they've got just so stories or ideas, and then use the word, very literally, science, or in this case, have some shill co-host do it for you so you don't get caught out lying. But ultimately, is Tyson correcting him? No, of course not. He's going to steal every bit of valour by way of his shill co-host. He's looking at you in the eye saying, yeah, I'm a scientist. No, you're not. But the fact that this guy's ascribing that to him, he's going to take it. Tyson's not going to correct him. We will. Let him know Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. Drop him a little comment, help him in the algorithm where we get none for pointing out where charlatans steal valour from a method of empiricism they haven't employed, as we're doing now.
Based upon an increase in knowledge or an availability of more information.
Or the establishment of cause and effect through systematic experimentation based on a hypothesis, aka science.
Correct. And so...
No, wrong. Not based on more knowledge. Not based on men's attitudes and how rigid they are. Wrong.
So that's all correct. But an important difference, in most cases, there are counterexamples to this, but in most cases, the extra information is an improvement on what you previously knew.
Not with science. If A causes B, there is no improvement on that empirical outcome. A will always cause B. No matter how many times you vary A, it will always cause B because you've established it through the systematic experimentation stage when you validated your hypothesis. Therefore, what are you going to advance with it? Well, you know A caused B. Maybe if I vary it a bit more, it'll cause it a bit more. No, it still causes it. You can quantify it with mathematics, perhaps. But that's about it. Once you've got that empirical outcome, there's nothing really more to do. You might find out other aspects that are related to it and form theories with it. Yeah, theories, that's another word they'll steal valour from. Yeah, that's the end of the experimentation process. Once you've got several, you can form theories about things like plant growth. Once you've varied and manipulated cause and effects that you've observed in nature, having isolated the independent variable you had an idea about and saw if your idea was true or not.
Right.
It doesn't
Nathan?
complete.
Yes.
Nathan, in the scientific method, how many independent variables are there?
Clues in the title. Independent, on its own, alone, one, singular.
Completely throw away what was
Right.
previously learned or understood or researched.
Yeah, that wouldn't be the case in science either. So while you want your just so story methodology to go both ways, both offer up the ability to improve upon just so stories with advanced bullshit, you also want the ability to reject old bullshit that was formerly held up as being true whenever it so suits you. Whereas in the scientific method, it goes both ways also. While you have validated A to cause B, it's not that somehow you'll come back in a year's time and go, oh no, we're going to improve upon this A causing B thing. No, you will never change that. The empiricism bit forbids it. But in your just so story world, you need to be able to just toss out old crap that you were telling people yesterday because new crap's come along, right? Yeah, science doesn't work like that though. Science will always have the same outcome. It's not like tomorrow we could improve upon knowing that vitamin C or the lack thereof causes scurvy. Are you going to improve on that, Tyson? I mean, that's real science there. And you're hinting at you having science. So explain, given the context of science, how you'll improve on if you don't get enough vitamin C, you'll get scurvy. Perhaps you can improve on that. We're going to get vitamin C from Tyson. Stopping the super scurvy. No, you're not going to do that, Dumbo. And next year, it's not going to turn out that, oh, actually, we got it wrong. The lack of vitamin C didn't cause scurvy. That won't ever change. Look up what the word empirical means. After it says to test by experiment, it'll explain that it won't change.
So that's why I said with the orbit around the sun, each next thing is a nuance on the previous one.
Well, just a new just so story layer of bullshit on top of the old one invented by Kepler. Yeah, we know. We disseminate it to our audience daily.
Right.
Right. When I say this, the Earth.
Speaking of which, please share the show. 80 people watching along with me live. 25 minutes. Not great. Please share the show. Obviously. We're not going to get to 100 people unless the people who are in the audience now share. It's not like YouTube are going to promote us telling their audience about their 2.3 million subscribed preferred content Star Talk channel. You know, they're not going to want to promote us at all. It's all down to you in the chat. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing so. You are all ace.
Earth is doing loop-de-loops. You don't have to abandon the idea that it's an ellipse.
Ideas. So you're telling us that that idea may be abandoned in a few years' time because you've got the open possibility to do that. But at this point, we're not going to abandon that. It's okay to hold on to that. What, the one that you told us when we got out the cave? We're okay to hold on to that one that you told us because we didn't know anything and now we understand that you beg the question of orbits, therefore orbits. I see. We're going to hold on to that. Gotcha, Tyson. Gotcha.
Because the loop-de-loops are on an ellipse, right?
You got that video queued up, Adam. We'll have a little look at it. Not that you'll be bringing up a diagram.
And so
You there?
Yeah, I'm on it. Just
I
one
was gonna
sec.
say, and real quick, if I might add, it's very annoying to hear his sidekick sideshow hype man running his mouth, who's supposed to basically just be there to like ask questions on behalf of like the neophyte nation that don't know no better and are supposedly learning from him. But what makes me annoyed is when he reiterates the asinine rhetoric that Neil says, as if so you're telling like some conclusive, stuck in stone answer that he solved the question and he's solidifying the scientific method when he's not even a scientist and just reiterating all that nonsense. That really annoys me. I want to reach in the screen and just choke him to death because it's like he's getting away with it in front of so many people that they're literally thinking that Neil's a scientist, Neil's speaking on behalf of science and yada, yada, yada. And this guy's like, yeah, so what you're saying is, and he just repeats it. And it's like, okay, we've answered that question for the millions of listeners. Let's move on. And that annoys me. I don't know if it annoys you. That annoys me.
So you can keep the nested information, like the nested Russian dolls. There's more detail, and you can stop where you want, and you're good with that.
Sweet.
Yeah, sweet. Just make it up as we go along, stack it up like Russian dolls. If you need to go back through the Russian dolls and toss one of them out, one of the onion layers has gone rotten, just toss it out. It's great. The world's your oyster, right? Wrong. If you're following the scientific method, it's got an empirical outcome. It's never going to change. You're never going to stack any dolls on top of it. Once you know the cause of the effect, that's it.
You got it.
Right.
All right, Chuck, we gotta land that plane.
Okay. Well, next time we get to know why stars twinkle.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. And we covered that in the pre-show when you bastardized Twinkle Twinkle Little Star and added a load of nonsense about getting a just so story at the end of the rhyme. Yeah? Will we ever figure out what the stars are? I suspect not. We know their majesty, we know their patterns, we know where they're above at certain times, and we can use that to our effect when navigating. We can prove a flat Earth with them. But what are they? We don't know. But this laughing clown will tell you what they are, won't he? He'll tell you how they're moving. He'll employ Kepler's assumptions to tell you how your world works. And it's all good because you can stack up Russian dolls. It's science. Not that Tyson said that. Chuck did. Not that Tyson corrected him, he just happily laughed along while he stole the valour of real scientists that save people's lives, while he offers you just so stories of elliptical ideas. He made it very plain what he's disseminating to you. Ideas. Well, in science, an idea is a hypothesis. That's why we ask. And as they're rounding out, I'll round out with the housekeeping question. Is there any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Negative.
That's
That
it.
would be a big fat no.
Well, that was it.
Those fields are incapable of utilizing the scientific method.
Why is that, John?
Well, there's a multitude of reasons. Primarily, they can't manipulate their independent variable, but secondary to that, all their observations have an R inserted as a causal mechanism.
Oh dear.
So that's in that statement is a very exceptionally concise summary of why the answer you're going to need R for that doesn't apply directly, but it also does apply indirectly with one step, which John just made clear, to the question. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics. With most of the other questions in the housekeeping series, you can answer, you'll need R for that. And then you can further go on to say, you'll need a flat plane for that R. Or just cut out the middleman. You'll need a flat plane for that. But in this instance, when it comes to viable hypothesis, it's not strictly true to say, twinkle, twinkle, little star, I'm going to need an R value to know what you are. That isn't true. They will infer it immediately after assuming what it is and how the Kepler's orbital assumptions apply. So they will absolutely immediately employ R. So John is strictly correct, but to infer that it's done automatically when you simply ask them if they've got a phenomena, they might astrophysicists that might work outside of the claimed heliocentric rhetoric to offer a cause and effect relationship one day. You just don't know. Stranger things have happened, but it just won't be directly connected to the R value assumption. Therefore, not important to our subject matter, but we can't just say you'll need R for that to answer that. Thank you, John. That was good. Go ahead, Adam.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star. I'm probably going to need R to figure out where you are, is what they're doing. So, and just to relate it to the housekeeping, what John said, if at any point within those fields they're going to invoke distance, which is most likely, and all of those distances we've discussed were scaled based on Venus having the same R value as us. So that's why you say it, because as soon as they're going to put a distance in, that distance is a derivation of R.
Of all the nursery rhymes that we get in the Western world, especially in English-speaking parts of the Western world, Twinkle Twinkle is the most predominant nursery rhyme by a mile. Every single child will know that nursery rhyme. Yeah? Well, if you listen to the rhetoric of the nursery rhyme, it's leaving you open to imagination. And yet it's parroted through all of the... Well, my kids have just come out of that age group. But there's that is in everything. It's in the wind-up toys, it's in the radios, it's in everything. The little discs that they play. You name it, it's all got Twinkle Twinkle in it. In the language lessons that they have, they translate it into various different languages. So it does make you ponder the prevalence of that particular nursery rhyme explicitly gets you to ponder what the stars are. It doesn't explicitly tell you what they are beyond postulation of them being diamonds.
So when I brought that up, I think it was last week, I was sort of mocked.
Yeah, but Brian had brought it up 2 weeks before you did, and he had a much more.
No, but that nursery rhyme, if you're right. How I wonder what you are. And all we could do is wonder.
And Nathan, to be fair, that goes for any flat Earth advocates that like to speculate and say, "Well, I think it's the waters above, and it's the reflection of the waters above in the firmament, reflecting off of the lights down on Earth from the buildings." And I've heard so many things, so that goes for them too. It's good to speculate, but stop trying to sketch in stone what it is, because you don't know what it is. No one knows what it is.
Well,
So that goes for both sides.
We might as well get a little twinkle twinkle history. So, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star is such a familiar rhyme for children that we often forget the fact that it has a named author, Jane Taylor, 1783 to 1824. The rhyme is the first stanza in a poem in Rhymes for the Nursery, 1806, a volume of verse for children written by Jane Taylor in collaboration with her sister Anne. So it is actually part of a larger poem. There you go. Learn something new every day. I like it. I like the fact that it offers a child the opportunity to wonder what they are in the most literal and direct quote from that nursery rhyme / poem. How I wonder what you are. And that's precisely what I do. When I think of the descriptions of childlike wonderment that I personally have as a flat earther, that is what goes through my mind. Literally, that nursery rhyme. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. And even now I smile while saying it, because I do. I'll glance out my window, even though it's daytime, and I think about all the times I sat in this very position, which is where my telescope used to be, looking out of the window I'm looking out of now. You know, the show equipment has replaced where I used to sit out and look at the moon or look at the stars through this window, wondering about them. Yeah, even when I was a heliocentrist. Well, that has been amplified tenfold since becoming a flat earther. I know even less about what they are, so I wonder even more about what they are now. So, just like when I was a kid hearing it from my mum singing it to me. Isn't it nuts? Yes, Nathan, we really like this section on Twinkle Twinkle. Well, that's good. I thought I was becoming a bit of a baby bore there, but I'm glad you all agree.
I've just gone to it. I want to read the third verse. We're all familiar with the first. Then the traveller in the dark thanks you for your tiny spark. He could not see which way to go if you did not twinkle so. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are.
Wow, it's got a specific reference to the navigation aspects of the stars in the poem. My God, it's a flat Earth poem. Oh my God. Twinkle Twinkle's a flat Earth poem.
That's incredible. What's the irony to that?
Isn't everything a flat Earth?
Yeah, I've told you this many times. Evergreen subject. Doesn't matter where you dig. It all ends in a flat plane. Doesn't matter where. We'll dig somewhere else soon. Yeah, the nursery rhymes are based on a flat plane. Why? They're specifically referencing the navigation use of the stars. Flat Earth required. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And things like this come up all the time. That's why I love doing this show. Other than being poor. Speaking of which, I've got to give Senk... No, I won't. No, I will. I've got to give Senko going. Donate today. But other than that aspect of it, the joy massively overwhelms. Like the fact that I've occasionally got to e-beg. This outweighs it massively. That level of joy, just glancing out my window, thinking back on having a telescope. You know, it comes up occasionally in useful context, like it did the other day with Adam showing us his P900 footage. Me going, that's not what I saw. You know, it's an interesting discussion point. You could call it a folly, but it's directly related to the subject. But it doesn't directly relate to me going, wow, isn't it great to be a kid again? Going, what the hell are those lights then? What are they? Other than knowing how they're used to prove a flat Earth. I don't know. I don't know what the sun is. I don't know what the moon is. I don't know what the stars are. I don't know what the sky is. I don't know why it changes colour. I don't know any of those things. Why am I smiling? Because that's wonderful. Maybe I'll be the one to find out. Maybe you will be the one to find out. If you're listening to this now, you might be the person that actually answers why is the sky blue. Please let me know if you do. Oh, I should have let Chocolate in. Sorry, Chocolate, I was looking at the other monitor. Try again and I'll let you in.
By the way, where was the link today? How did I have to go searching for the link?
I don't know, Neil.
We were trying to dodge you, Neil.
That's what I'm thinking.
I put it out really early. I started super early because I don't intend to have a very long after show today because it's Easter. So
Yeah, but you didn't put it on. You didn't put it on Mass D.
Did I not? Or maybe I put it in the wrong chat. Maybe I put it in
Good morning,
FED
everybody.
back office.
Back
Hey, Chocolate.
office.
Anyway, we're boring the live audience. Like 100 people watching. Woohoo! Thanks for sharing, everybody who shared the show. Really appreciate it. Smash the share button now.
Should be thousands watching. Let's go. Smack that
Good
share
morning.
button. What's up, Chocolate?
Hey, Chocolate.
Peace, Choc.
Good. Yep. Happy Easter, everybody.
What's crack-a-lacking?
How's everybody doing?
Down a bit down. Is everything okay?
Say that again.
You sound a bit downbeat, down in the mouth, whatever you want to describe it as. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm all right. I got a lot going on, but I'm all right. I'm here.
Oh,
How's everybody?
Let us cheer you up with the third verse from Twinkle Twinkle again now.
Okay, here we go.
Then the traveller in the dark thanks you for your tiny spark. He could not see which way to go if you did not twinkle so. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are.
You said that's the third verse of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star?
Yeah, it's a poem. Who knew?
Oh.
It's not just
Those navigators needed that.
Yeah, it's reference to navigation, so therefore it's a flat Earth proof. Can't get an elevation angle measurement from a curve baseline. I mean, is there any evidence that you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curve baseline?
Neil hasn't answered me yet. I've
According to Matthew
sent him
Learns,
that
the answer
question a
is
few
no.
times.
Indeed, according to Matthew Learns, the answer's no.
Yeah, but he's a bloody liar.
Wait, did we establish he's a liar or he's delusional? What's his story?
That was last night's replay. So I listened to a bit of that. And I'd stick with my stance. Intent to deceive.
Right, just so you know what we're talking about. If you didn't want to become a member and you did want to watch the Uncut and After show, you get it several days later on my second channel. Subscribe today, Nathan Oakley. It's just not got the 1980 and there's a gap between Nathan and Oakley, but that's the name of the second channel. And yesterday I released the live show was covering a video that Eddie Bravo did several years ago where he was talking about balloons, just very appropriate with the Chinese spy balloon. So that's what we covered. Hence he's in the thumbnail. But at the end of that video in the last hour, which I also listened to yesterday, obviously it's my show. And yeah, we were discussing whether or not Matthew Learns is a liar, as opposed to trapped in cognitive dissonance, or all of the other reasonings that were behind it. And in that particular show, I was referencing Johnny Depp with his high standard of proof to prove malice in his defamation lawsuit against his ex-wife, Amber Heard. Well, to reference a slightly different lawsuit, but another example where people just want to justify why people are deceitful liars, right? Now, I'm not necessarily paralleling this directly with Matthew Learns, but I'm saying it parallels the discussion about Matthew Learns, which is to say that the guy, Colonel Sanders or whatever he's called, that tried to sue Gwyneth Paltrow, the guy was just lying. But even the jury, when they were interviewed, made up every excuse for why he wasn't lying. in his mind, he made up the story, and that's how the story has become processed in his mind as being true. I'm like, what, you mean lying? That's lying. Making up something that didn't happen, telling yourself it did and telling everyone else it did. That's lying. But everybody wants to justify people's good nature. Some people are a bit too empathic. It's like, call a spade a spade. If someone's a lying shit, say they're a lying shit. Just say it. You know, call it what it is. If it's a lie, it's a lie. Now, there's no way in that instance that somebody who's skiing down a slope quite quickly and then bashes into somebody, falls over with them, and then goes, oh my God, I've just bashed into Gwyneth Paltrow. And then Gwyneth Paltrow gets herself together, annoyed that she would be, skis off down the mountain, tells everybody how they've just taken out Gwyneth Paltrow via text messages, and then later has amnesia about how long they were unconscious when she hit them. That's just a liar, right? Somebody who lies. But in the case of Learns, everyone wants to jump to his, no, he's got cognitive dissonance. No, he's trapped in a paradigm. No, he's not deceitful. He's just unable to come up with the truthful explanation.
Hold on. Not everyone. John. John is the defender of Matthew Learns. What's in the box?
But nobody will answer me if delusional is a liar. Is that a liar? If someone who's delusional?
Yeah, I would say so. So in the case of, you know, purely quackery, how they define compulsive liars. Compulsive liars are often described as delusional. It doesn't change that when somebody says, you know, I'm going to get the FBI on you because my dad's in the FBI, and they aren't. They're just a compulsive liar and delusional. Because when you quiz them, they give you the backstory of how their dad is in the FBI. No, that's just a compulsive liar. So as far as I'm concerned, delusional, compulsive liar, same thing.
Well, no, it's not though. Delusional, compulsive liar may be a subcategory of delusional, but that's not what delusional is.
Yeah, but John, why do you not take into account the many years that QE has put into this, that he's been on 24/7? How could you still be defending that?
You think me calling Matthew delusional is defending him?
Yep.
By their own low standards. I'm saying delusional's one step above liar, right? So what Neil's saying is by their own very, very low standards, calling him delusional diminishes his liar status. So that's a win for him by their own low standards.
Yeah, but I don't think that would be. I think I'd rather be called a liar than delusional. That's just me, though.
I think it's crazy that we're even assessing this, given the brush that we get tarred with as flat earthers on a general day-to-day basis. You know, we are considered delusional. We are considered moronic. We are considered the idiots in the arena and easily overcome in our pitiful arguments, etc., etc. So as we get further down the rabbit hole for the anti-flat earthers, and we sit here really struggling, bashing each other's heads in over whether or not someone's a delusional or a liar, well, that's because that's where the rabbit hole leads you. To the defender of the original faith being the one that's being assessed for how delusional or incompetent or deceitful they are. Us assessing them is my point. Complete
Or it could be
turnaround.
all three. He could be a delusional, incompetent liar. I don't know. And that's really the standpoint I've maintained is I don't know.
Absolutely. That's the conclusion we always come to at the end as well, which is why we're so concise in this now. But yeah, we don't know ultimately, and it's not necessarily beneficial to our cause when we point out contradictions in their position. That you could ascribe lies or malice or incompetence to it at the end. Yeah, you could just call them delusional. But it doesn't alter their contradictions. It doesn't alter their debate points. It doesn't alter their affirmations of a flat earth that we require. All of those things still stand, and stand in the case of Matthew Learns or Matthew Weathers.
But interestingly enough, it does push the idea that there are two positions to be had, and it creates a line where there's an enemy to the discussion.
Well, it's not a broad brush thing either. It's claim by claim of that person. So he could be delusional, a retard, and a liar.
Yeah, I said that. Yeah, well, he could be all three at the same time within one claim as well.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
I think Matthew might be the best subject for it. We'd really have to dissect his brain in autopsy to see, what was going on.
Speaking of,
I really don't care.
That's not a good segue to what I was about to go to. So, I shared a link yesterday. Did any of you watch it? It was from BBC Bite Size, their latest ad for their channel. Anybody see that?
Yeah, I
No.
caught that little ad hom attack.
I'm sorry, that was very dark, I thought.
Yeah, I'm glad you dug out the clip so I can play it now, actually, because like with any advert, you don't know necessarily where to find it. So I just started recording as soon as I got an idea of what the actual ad was about. So this is BBC Bite Size.
Want an upgrade that doesn't cost the...
So the channel, I will not necessarily plug because he's just recorded the BBC ad and republished it on his own channel. So I'm not necessarily going to plug the guy who's got this video published, but it's just an ad. So because it's not that lengthy, but we may have to pause a little bit of it so they don't copyright me.
What's with...
You're hearing audibly, we've got a guy standing on your typical Flat Earth Society pizza pie in a sky vacuum. So you've got a distant orbiting sun, and instead of a sphere Earth, it's a flat pizza pie Earth. And he's obviously proportionately massive compared to the map, and he's just in a suit that looks a bit rough and flipping a pancake, which has just fallen on the floor.
With the pancake, it's flat. What else is flat? The Earth. Today, I'll prove...
Don't learn off randoms. Revise with BBC Bite Size. We get...
There you go. That's basically it.
Randoms.
Yeah.
The Earth. Today, I'll prove...
Don't learn off randoms. Revise...
Yeah, so that's it. That's the entirety of the ad. So it's just an ad hom. No whys or wherefores in terms of their assertions. Just don't learn off randoms. Okay?
Stick with the Ministry of Information. You want to know things.
Yeah. Make sure you go to the British Broadcasting Company, who will tell you in a bite-sized format precisely what the world is.
They want to give the Earth shape desperately, don't they?
I was more interested in the fact that they feel the need to dissuade. It's not just allow anti-flat earthers to flourish on YouTube by, offering them all of the publicity and benefits in the algorithm that we aren't afforded. Just ultimately every search that could come our way, add that onto the list of the opponent's search results, and then they'll do very nicely. It'll encourage them, and that sort of self-perpetuates. But it seems that it's gone beyond that. You need the BBC to tell you not to listen to us now. It's that one extra... The only reason it caught my attention is because it's like, oh, you literally need, like you say, the Ministry of Education. What did you call it, Adam? It wasn't that.
Ministry of Information.
Ministry of Information, right? Your Ministry of Information is telling you, don't listen to flat earthers on YouTube. That's essentially what they're telling you. Why? Well, because BBC because BBC Bite Size is out there. Like, are they your neighbour? Are they your friend? The people on Bite Size? Are they not randoms? Some tosser I've never met ever who's telling me stuff. How is that any different to somebody on YouTube? They're no more or less random than the tosser who presents Bite Size. Are they? No, but just because you've squashed them with what looked like vending machine on a flat earth pizza pie just tells people don't ascribe anything to flat earth and don't go and listen to them. Now, for me, knowing full well what happens with pop music when the BBC tells you that you shouldn't be listening to it, it goes to number one. So, as a millennial or later, hearing the BBC telling you that you shouldn't go and listen to flat earthers on YouTube, I would suggest that that might be the beeline that often people take simply because the Ministry of Information have told them not to.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say it's probably more detrimental for their belief structure to address us at all. The best thing they can do is just stay away from the subject, is what they need to do.
And that's what they're saying. Just stay away from flat earthers, okay? Meanwhile,
No,
we've got
I mean, not
information.
even address that there is a flat earthers. Like, they need to ignore us completely, because that's the only way that they're going to be able to maintain this.
I see. So you're saying anything that referenced us would be to their detriment. It's not just that I can parallel it with the fact that they're the Ministry of Information directly telling you not to do something, which often has the reverse effect. You're saying it wouldn't matter what they addressed us with in any shape or form. Any address that draws any attention whatsoever to Flat Earth is to their detriment. And I'm inclined to agree.
That's why I put this up. This is really good. If we're following one of the views of Gandhi, how you start with an issue and how it progresses. We're at stage 3. The BBC to be ad homing randoms and using that as a topic of attack. First they ignore you, then they laugh at you. We're all used to that. We're now at this. Then they fight you, then you win. Progressing nicely. And like I say, to see an institution like the BBC use that, that's an underhand way of fighting back. They know they're losing this battle. The BBC wasn't using this kind of ridicule, wouldn't even been on the BBC 5 years ago. You see the amount of it occurring now. That's them fighting back through the tools they've got, which is their media, their brainwashing. We're winning.
So what happens when we get to the stage when they tell their own side not to fight us? Right?
No, then that's the acceptance
remember,
stage. That's the stage of acceptance.
Wouldn't it be fair? Wouldn't it be also fair to say to listen to or pay attention to anything flat earth, as harsh and coarse as it sounds, is another way of them saying remain stupid, stay on the stupid train, remain dumb in the dark, don't do any self, critical thinking. I mean, isn't that kind of like an insult? I mean, it should be an insult to somebody's intelligence. I would say, why don't you want me to? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Most people have curiosity,
Nah, it's a hell for do 7 offsuit. So what they do is BBC and Neil deGrasse Tyson, they're pretty much the same, and anyone in that category, they're using their position, what they think. They're using their position as a vehicle for their hand wave dismissal. Now, others use their position, like Neil deGrasse Tyson and all the pseudoscientists, just their position as a sounding board for anything what they say is essentially true because they're scientists. We know they're pseudoscientists. You see where I'm going with this?
Yes. Because we are the
Exactly.
BBC and we inform you only of what is correct and right, you shouldn't pay attention to this. Not because this is wrong for the following reasons. You shouldn't. No. This is the BBC.
Yeah.
We are telling you
They had the
something.
authority.
Yeah, exactly. Shout out to Richard G. Says, Nathan and company are awesome. Also, gas pressure requires containment. Just saying. Thank you for the super chat.
Agreed.
Yeah, good point, Kiwi.
Well, the reason I brought up what I was saying before was that, right? So we have the BBC telling people don't basically ignore flat earthers, right? Well, years ago, I forget how long now, that space.com article came out, and what was it called? It was called How to Debate a Flat Earther. And they went through a bunch of points, and at the end, they summarized it by saying, flat earthers don't care about evidence and arguments. Their problem is that they don't trust the very people we get our information from, right? So I think this thing started a while ago with them saying, well, don't even debate them. Ignore them and laugh. don't fight them, because the fighting is the debating, right? But we've come to, at this point, we've realized there is no debate, right? So I think this is something that started a while ago, and it's just going to get worse now. As far as my opinion, I think it's going to get worse.
See, I would
Eli, worse for who?
distinguish
Us
the
or them?
Hold on,
debating
D-Rose.
we're having.
Go on, Adam. Say one more
I
time.
would distinguish the debating, not as fighting. That's them laughing. And when I say fighting, I'm not talking about individuals. I'm talking about the system. For the system to have to deal with it. That's the fight that it feels the need. It's never done so before. I say it's significant that the BBC would ad hom like that, use that topic to make an underhand point. Why is it feeling the need to defend now and fight now? That's the fight I'm talking about, not necessarily individuals when the topic's coming up. That to me is, I mean, look at the way they behave. That's them laughing still. Like I say, it's the system that's fighting, not individuals, that I think is significant.
Yeah, I totally agree. Right, I'm going to do one last plug. So hopefully when this goes out and the Uncut and After Show goes out to members and on the second channel, there'll be a bit of a plug which will get me at least halfway to my give, so send, go. I have to get rid of the... in that. There it is. No, it's not going to let me. Yeah, there it is. There it is. Okay, so I've changed recently from GoFundMe for campaigns to Give, Send, Go, and Chocolate had extremely well, or good success with it. So hopefully I'll achieve the same sorts of results in my campaign to replace some very old and aging equipment that keeps going wrong. So I've already, as I explained at the beginning of the show, had a reasonable amount of success to get one amplifier replaced of the 3, and I'm hoping to get at least one more. So I'm hoping to get to about half the target that I've got set, which is about £900. Massive shout out to Goldie, who is a mod in the Growing Up in Scientology YouTube channel, who I also plugged at the beginning of this show. So check out my GoFundMe campaign. If you did want to actually contribute to the campaign, just set the tip amount, as it is called, I think, or something like that, down to 0, by just going to other, and then just add whatever amount that you want to contribute. If not, just click on the share button, as it's a very convenient way of sharing it around on Facebook, and they do make a direct impact on whether or not the campaign is successful. So hopefully a few of you will share it. With that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, hit up my Give, Send, Go campaign, and all that good stuff. Another massive thank you to today's Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on an after show. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!